Welcome and thank you for tuning in to the Visit the Northeast of Scotland podcast with me, your host, Jacqueline Vandenacker. In this episode, I'm speaking with Justin Kieron, who settled in Aberdeen nearly 20 years ago. Justin developed his passion for the great outdoors while serving in the army, and this has been a source of joy ever since. After moving to the northeast of Scotland and experiencing much of what the area has to offer, Justin could not think of living anywhere else than his gorgeous little seaside village of Fittie. Often out on his travels with his rescue dog Nellie, Justin encourages everyone to get reconnected with nature. Good morning, Justin. It's nice to meet you this morning here at Seaton Park in Aberdeen. We're just along the River Don here, so you'll have a bit of river noise in the background. And we're here to talk about adventure travel or adventure tourism, and particularly getting out into nature and out into the countryside to explore what's in and around Aberdeen City or even in the city itself. Can you start with a brief introduction of yourself?
Good morning. Yes, so I originally I joined the army at a young age. I joined the army at 19. And I think because you are in that situation, then fitness and outdoor activity plays a major part in your training and a survival kind of mode, if you know what I mean. And after I left the army, I decided I needed to be outdoors. I needed to be in nature. I wanted to spend. I knew the benefits of being outdoors, albeit it's a different situation in the army and you're in a 6-foot trench and it's minus 15. Maybe not as enjoyable.
A slightly different outdoor experience.
Slightly different, but as we were saying earlier on, you take from that what you can and use that to your benefit. The whole outdoors thing. And then when I left the army, it was different options. It was the ability to then choose where I wanted to go at the times I wanted to go, and knowing the benefits of being outdoors encouraged me and kept me wanting to spend more and more time outdoors, more time exploring, understanding and benefiting from being outdoors itself. So, and it's just continued, and hopefully it'll continue for another 10-15 years until I'm able to keep going. I'm a firm believer that when it comes to nature and outdoors, you are always learning. You're always. It's never a situation where you'll get bored. There's always so much to see. There's always so much to explore. It's a thirst for education for me.
Am I right in thinking you're not born and bred Aberdeen?
That is correct.
So I'm assuming it was work that brought you to this area, was it?
Initially, it was the army. I left the army. I spent 5 years in the army. I left because I had an accident in the army, which actually strangely led me to eventually working offshore and obviously going into a helicopter to and from the rig. But it was actually a helicopter that I fell out of in the army that I broke my back, and I had a double discectomy, so I've got a metal plate in my back. So for me, outdoors is it's hard to explain, you know. And I struggled for many months. I broke my back. I was unable to walk, and it was actually I was at Woolwich Arsenal Hospital in London, and some of the physiotherapy was in the pool and actually outdoors, and they've got a wonderful space again next to the water. And it was little things like that. It was, we're doing physiotherapy today. We had a list of sort of physio and stuff to do for recovery, and I always looked forward to being outdoors and spending time along the river and sort of in open fields. And I think after when I eventually came out of the army and recovered, it was the bad times or the difficult times that made me realise how important and how beneficial being outdoors is. And although it was just, like I said, being beside the river,
I noticed yesterday on your Instagram, which is Outdoor Lifestyle Rules, that you had a video of yourself walking along the beach with the water splashing over your feet and grounded in the background. Do you find being in nature helps to settle you? Do you find it restorative to be in nature?
Certainly, yes. I'm a firm believer in nature healing and grounding. I think it's important. And when we talk about grounding, we talk about walking barefoot in the sand. We talk about walking barefoot in the water, walking through the forest barefoot. I'm not saying everybody should take their shoes off and walk through the forest, but I'm a firm believer that you should experience it. You should walk in the water, you should walk along the sand, given the opportunity. And we are extremely lucky in the northeast of Aberdeen. The northeast coast provides us with endless amount of stunning, beautiful beaches. The further you go north, you just Balmedy, Newborough and Colliston, and then you head up. It's just outstanding beauty.
Is adventure travel something you include on your own holidays? Do you like to go out and explore the nature and the culture where you are?
Yes, certainly. One instance was working in Israel a couple of years ago, and due to weather and issues on the platform, on the rig, we were stuck in Israel for a couple of days. I was sitting down at the breakfast table listening to a couple of people talking about climbing, which instantly perked my interest, and I probably sat there for about 25 minutes longer than I should have, eating more breakfast than I probably should have, just because I was intrigued by the conversation. Anyway, it turned out that they were climbing Mount Hermon in the next couple of days, so I blagged my way unexpectedly into asking them if I could climb Mount Hermon, and I did it. I went up, and that was an absolutely phenomenal experience. Just sort of above, a very religious place anyway, but again, you're up so high up on that peak, you're looking into 3-4 different countries. It was a wonderful experience.
Now, the last few months, Aberdeen's been in lockdown at various stages, so a lot of people have had to stay fairly close to home. Have you been able to rediscover places in and around the city that you'd forgotten about, or maybe have a new appreciation for?
Yes, certainly. Where we are right now, Seaton Park is a park that, ashamedly, I've only visited 3 times. It's a mile and a half from my house, and now I realise what it has to offer. Then it'll be a place that I will come back regular, both on my own for running and cycling, and with my dog. When you are in a situation where we're in a 5-mile radius where we're not allowed out with that anyway, I think exploring local has so much to offer. I mean, it's right on my doorstep, right at Fittie. I mean, you've got endless amount of beaches to walk.
Yeah.
And if you cross over to Donmouth, which is a wonderful nature reserve, you then can walk when the tide is out all the way up through Black Dog, up to Balmedy, and all the way up to Newborough.
And in Aberdeen, we're quite lucky in that we have 5 or 6 big parks and gardens for us to visit.
Yeah. All beautifully maintained by Aberdeen Council and well looked after, and clearly loved by the people of Aberdeen, because there's, as we've seen this morning, there's many people sort of from various ages, walking, cycling, taking their dogs. So it's clearly these places, the parks, that are keeping the residents of Aberdeen sane to a certain extent. It's places like this are an absolute godsend. Yeah. And then it's then that we come into these places and rediscover our love for, I forgot how good this park was. I forgot how good it was to sit on the bench and just look onto the river, see the swans, watch the waterfalls. And it's then a thirst for more, and we should be encouraging that at all times, let alone during a lockdown.
Now, you've mentioned you have a dog.
I do, yes.
And she goes on your adventures regularly.
She does.
for people driving to different holiday destinations, the temptation to bring their pets and their dogs obviously is great, and it's beneficial to bring them along. What is it like to travel and to explore the great outdoors with your dog?
I think it's an extra benefit when you have a dog with you. On the flip side of that, there is a lot of planning that you need to do. Even just coming to the parks, you have to be aware of your surroundings. There are going to be other dogs here, there are going to be dogs off the lead. So it's an extra bit of planning wherever you go, whether it's local, whether you're heading out to Braemar and around some of the lochs out there, or you're heading further afield. Wherever I take my dog, I always make sure that if it's out in an estate somewhere, I always see if it's what season they're in, making sure that our dogs are allowed off the lead, where on certain parts are they allowed off the lead. There are nesting birds, ground nesting birds that you need to be aware of, and it's something that you have to take into account and plan. But all I would say to people is just plan ahead, make sure you're aware of the surroundings that you're going into, and just be prepared to make sure you've got everything with you, make sure you've got a muzzle, make sure just in case, make sure you've got a harness, make sure you've got a lead. And
take everything back out again as well.
Poo bags and treats, and especially sort of over the last couple of weeks it's been extremely warm. You can't always be beside water, so take water for your dog, and be prepared to sort of for every eventuality.
Now, when I was looking up the definition of adventure tourism and adventure travel, it was actually quite difficult because there's lots of variations of the same theme. But the one that I kind of resonated with most was that any kind of tourist activity that includes a physical activity or a cultural exchange or a connection with nature, and something that pushes us out of our comfort zone. Now, not everybody is going to be mountain biking and hill walking and climbing Munros in Aberdeenshire, although those are great things to do. But there are also lots of activities that people might not associate with adventure tourism. So, for example, in Stonehaven, there's Husky Haven, where you can go sled dog.
Yes, I've heard of it. It sounds amazing. I haven't done it, but it sounds absolutely amazing.
We can go to Glentanner and go on safaris. There's sea angling trips and dolphin watching trips and lots of different other activities. If you had a weekend to go and explore, and I know this is a tough question,
wow.
If you had an opportunity to go and do something different, what things would you want to do in Aberdeenshire?
Personally, for me, water sports, and I don't mean jet skiing up and down the Don. Paddleboarding and surfing, kayaking have become more and more popular, especially during the sort of warmer months. Oh, that's a tough one. Where would I like to be for the weekend, or what would I like to be doing? I don't really have a preference, as long as it involves my dog, some great company, being beside the river or the sea. Let's be honest, you could wander around Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire every single day for 10 years and never be bored. There's so much to see, so much to see. Paragliding, something I've really random, but something I did a few years ago, and that just, again...
Well, there's the gliding park out beside
Aboyne, yeah. So you've got the gliding club out at the Aboyne, yeah. You've got, and you can go there. To my knowledge, you can go and go up in one of the gliders with an instructor. If you asked everybody that question, I think you would get 1,000 different answers. There's so much available for us to do, and some of it is free. Walking up hills and exploring, I said, wandering around the wild swimming and various things, kayaking. If you've got a kayak, but again, there are so many companies in Aberdeenshire that provide these. That provide, There's a local company called Scott Surf, and they do paddleboard lessons and surfing lessons regularly on the Don and the Dee and the sort of Donmouth area, and beside the beach at Fittie.
It's actually a good point to mention that alongside each of these episodes, there will be blog posts on the website. And on each of the blog posts there will be links to different providers, activity providers, useful resources to get information about everything there is to do, or at least some of the things there are to do here in Aberdeenshire.
Brilliant.
So when you came into Aberdeen, what were some of the things that you noticed about its landscape and its geography? Was there anything that stood out for you?
The amount of beaches that obviously when you're looking at a map, it's different. But when you actually go and visit a place and you can visualise it and not see it on a map or on a video, it has a different impact on you. It really, and for me that was the first thing that I realised when I came up to Aberdeen. It was, okay, there is a lot of beaches here. I moved to Stonehaven originally, and a wonderful place, Stonehaven, and then you realise then geographically where you are in the world, and you just think, oh, actually, let me go and have a nose, and that's what you just then say, oh, I want to go and have a nose, I want to go and have a little explore, and then you find that the beaches down at Aberdeen, down at Fittie area. And then I realised I saw Fittie, which is just a wonderful, quaint,
location,
beautiful village, and then I think many years ago I thought to myself I'd like to live there because it had kind of everything that I wanted, and it was right by the beach is 24 seconds, exactly 24 seconds at my walking pace,
which is rather fast.
Which is rather fast. I am quite tall, yes. Got Fittie Nature Reserve, which is just strikingly beautiful.
With its colony of seals as well, yeah. Oh,
wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And if you go the Newborough side, obviously you'll see the seals. But if you go across, if you follow the Eithin, the bridge across through Newborough and then take a right into Fittie, into the car park there, you can follow the path. There's signs, obviously, as we discussed earlier on, saying what you can and can't do, dogs be aware of, nesting birds and seals, etc.
Because it's an estuary with wetland areas.
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah. For people who are planning their trip around Scotland, what would you say to them to tempt them to the East Coast?
The people have a big part in tourism. I think that is a major thing coming into any area. But for me, the people of Aberdeen have been extremely welcoming, and I've learned a lot from those people. Again, just sort of destinations to explore and listening to people, speaking with people. I think, weather aside,
can never guarantee the weather.
Well, you can't.
We
at
don't
the end
have
of the day,
midges. That's a big plus.
That is a very good. That is one reason. Another reason to come to Aberdeen is that we don't have midges. We do get wonderful weather. You'll need to take a jacket, maybe some skis, but shorts and t-shirt also. But there is so much to see here. Again, you have to be prepared. I think we need to be open-minded. I am 100% glad that I moved up here. It's difficult now for me to want to move anywhere else because Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire provides so much.
Well, what I'd like to say at this point is thank you very much for spending the morning with me.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Talking about the outside lifestyle and adventures in and around Aberdeenshire and your experiences in the great outdoors. I'll mention again, anyone who wants to get more information can get that on our blog posts on the website. And I hope that you have another lovely day to explore, although it's a bit grey outside today.
That's okay. Weather, there's no such thing as bad weather, it's just bad preparation.
Bad preparation, exactly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.